counterintuitive of brief literature. I will talk more about it after. And the third experiment was aimed to control, well, first replicate this schizotypy interaction with frequency effect, and then also to adjust an important variable that was not matched in previous experiments, in the previous two experiments. So the time, the duration. Why? So in the previous experiments, they were on matched time and frequency. So increasing frequency, we were also increasing the duration, the overall duration. And by decreasing frequency, we were decreasing the overall duration. So now half of the conditions, they were matched. So more trials, but shorter, and less trials, but larger. Just to control the overall exposure to the duration of trials. Why this is important? So there is a huge debate on associative learning, but also in schizophrenia and schizotypy, there is evidence of different disrupted temporal perception from different levels, from phenomenological, from neurobiological evidence. So time is important to control at least. So what do we found after this? So the experiment was very similar, manipulating frequency and then controlling by matched and unmatched. We found exactly the same effect, and we did not find an effect on controlling the total duration. And something that is very interesting here is that this effect, we call it free lunch. So, for example, in the negative contingency, there were only 4 pairings. So only 4 times the cues were presented together. But by increasing the co-absent information, participants enhanced their judgments about these two cues being associated. But in addition to that, so these short trials, so a lot of empty events, but very short, they have the same effect as having longer co-absent events. So we can enhance judgments by just increasing numbers of absent information and being those absent information being shorter or short, yeah. And schizotypy effect, the same direction, significant interaction between frequency and schizotypy. And yeah, this is experiment 3. So now we pull these experiments, experiment 2 and 3, to see if we got the overall result that it seems to hold. So this is the two previous experiments. The interaction remains. This is just a linear mixed model that says that there is a main effect between contingencies. It's obvious. The positive, 0, and negative, they are different. There is a frequency effect. There is a frequency times in contingency effect. So for negative, the frequency effect seems to be larger than for positive. And the interesting for us is the frequency and schizotypy interaction. Okay, so then we wanted to see what particular aspects of schizotypy were the ones that are leading this interaction or lack of sensitivity to the co-absent information. So we subdivide the scale by the subgroups. So cognitive disorganization, introverted anedonia, impulsive nonconformity, and unusual experiences. So 4 subscales. Then we took the slope by participant, because basically the slope is the sensitivity of the frequency effect, and then we visualize it. So here we have the 4 subscales, the 3 contingencies, and within each contingency, this is the mean of slopes per participant. So just visually, it seems that unusual experiences seems to have a difference. So then we run linear mixed models to test this idea, where here the color is basically the standardized or the effect size of the estimate, and the color is significant. The one that doesn't have color is not significant. So, and we have 4 models. Each column is a model. The total score that we presented previously, the previous slide, and 4 other models, one model for each subscale. And the model, the subscale model that has a significant frequency and schizotypy interaction is the unusual experience model. So this suggests then that this lack of sensitivity for coabsent information might be led by this particular subscale. And then when we look specifically to this subscale as a continuum, we got a negative correlation. So the mean slope means, so if it's closer to 0, means no sensitivity to frequency effect. So do not take into account the absent information. And unusual experience, they are negatively correlated. So people that they are more likely to have positive schizotypy. So unusual experiences is the positive dimension of schizotypy personality, as in schizophrenia there are the positive symptoms, delusions, hallucinations. So unusual experiences are related with this positive dimension. And just exploratory, that is not finished. So we were also trying to explore many different computational models, try to fit these computational models to the participants, and then compare to see if there was a model that explains better between the groups. But these are, so we don't have any insights here. We were just, this is for future work, for development work of the DFL. So discussion on relevance here. So the useful interpretation is that non-informative low-selling stimuli are learned better. So aberrant salience, for example. So something that is not relevant, basically I put more attention on it, so I will learn from irrelevant features. But here we show that less sensitivity we showed less sensitivity to low salient events. That is a little bit different to the first interpretation. And in addition to that, unusual experiences has previously been reported to be significant in associative learning tasks. So maybe this is a method to study the positive schizotypy dimension. And the take-home message is described in this graphic or this draw. So we are saying that high schizotypical individuals, they use less the coabsent information of cues to make contingency judgments. And so from this perspective, there are many ideas to think about. For example, it might be the case that high schizotypal individuals, because they are using less this information type, so maybe they are not going to investigate or to pursue or to try to engage with this information, so they will be biased to just the evidence where there is when there are cues present. And this can be related with biases previously known, for example, the bias against confirmatory evidence or bias against disconfirmatory evidence, but this is maybe just this discussions for later. Some limitations of this work is that we did not include the sample on the basis of schizotypy, and maybe because of that, the schizotypy analysis did not pass a sensitivity analysis. A sensitivity analysis is a strict method mostly used in meta-analysis research, where you don't care which statistical or methodological methods are you using. You just care about that everything, independent of your decision, points to the same direction. And so here we've made a decision of splitting groups. If we want to have a reliable, super reliable effect, that decision of taking high and low or taking schizotypy as a continuum should point to the same direction. But in this case, it does not. So if we take schizotypy as a continuum, we do not get the significant interaction. And we should be careful with the interpretation of unusual experiences because it was exploratory, and this effect is small. Just to finish, so other difficult working areas has been, we publish a protocol where we are going to make the largest meta-analysis of computer-based cognitive remediation therapies for schizophrenia. So we want to know the state of the art of computer-based programs to train cognition in participants with schizophrenia, in people diagnosed with schizophrenia. And well, this is just for the future. We have very cool data about sense of agency, and this can be related with apophenia. Apophenia is, for example, in this picture, that I clearly see Our Lady of Guadalupe, of course. And so maybe this perception is creating a connection where there is nothing. So this is apophenia. And this is another line that we have very interesting data. So I'll be happy to talk about it with anyone. And thank you very much for your attention. And thank you very much to my supervisor and to all of the people included in this work. And I'm happy to talk.
Thank you so much, Santiago. Shall we unmute ourselves and